What's up, everybody? My name is Keilan Morrissey, and you're watching Keeping It Keilan. Today, we're going to be discussing a very serious issue recently brought to the public eye by Ray Fisher. Alright, so before we get into the allegations made by Justice League actor Ray Fisher, who I am a big admirer of, I would like to preface this by saying that I do not like to entertain gossip or unfounded rumors or just general negativity that serves no purpose. I'm not a fan of just attacking people here and there for entertainment or for views or anything like that. And I mean, if you know me, you know I've never done anything like that, and I'm not doing it now. I am just recapping what Ray Fisher has stated happened on the set of Justice League back in 2017. Because as a huge fan of Zack Snyder, a huge fan of Ray Fisher, a huge fan of the Snyder Cut movement, and as someone who's fascinated by this whole story, this seems to be some of the most serious details about this whole debacle that have emerged yet. So I think that recapping it in this video for everyone to see the whole timeline all in one place is an important thing to do. These claims have only been made by one person, that is Ray Fisher. So as of right now, there's no hard evidence of anything, no video, nothing yet. But these claims are very severe, and they're being made in a very serious way by Mr. Fisher. So, to those who are not fully up to date on the Snyder Cut scenario, let me just break it down in as few words as possible without going off on a tangent here. The film Justice League, filmed back in 2016, 2017, was intended to be the third film in Zack Snyder's superhero story arc for DC films. And due to a family tragedy, Zack had to step away. Now, someone's decision, I don't know who, but someone decided post Zack leaving to bring on Avengers director Joss Whedon to do reshoots. And his name was then partially attached to the film, but the film was still largely referred to as Zack Snyder's work, despite it being tampered with tremendously and turned from a 3.5-hour movie into a 2-hour movie, and only like 40% of that 2-hour movie was actually Zack's work. So basically, it wasn't his film at all, and tonally, it changed dramatically. Now, years later, we're finally going to get to see Zack's version of the film after years of people campaigning to hashtag release the Snyder Cut, and now we're finally going to get to see the Snyder Cut. And up until this point, a lot of fans have been holding grievances with director Joss Whedon for Justice League, claiming that he was the one who basically messed up the film. Now, I have never made any such claims because I wasn't there, so I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was him. I don't know if it was the studio. I don't know if it was one person or 100 people who tampered with this vision. I have no idea exactly what happened behind the scenes, so I don't like to put blame on anybody for what happened with that movie. But now there are some new claims being made by Ray Fisher, the actor of Cyborg in Justice League, and they transcend just the tone of the film a lot. So here's the first statement he made, right, regarding Joss Whedon. So he posted a video on June 29th from San Diego Comic-Con when the Justice League cast was touring and going to conventions and promoting the movie. Interestingly, Joss Whedon was not part of these tours. He did not attend to promote Justice League. Sounds like there's some construction going on outside. Hope you guys don't hear that too much. But basically, yeah, so they were there. Somebody asked about the reshoots because everyone was aware that reshoots were happening on the movie. And Ray Fisher responded by saying, the reshoots are minimal and Joss is a great guy. Zack picked a great person to come in and finish up for him. And then he reposted that clip, right, from the Comic-Con and said in the caption, "I'd like to take a moment to forcefully retract every bit of this statement." Because, of course, we now know Zack was not the person who picked Joss to come on and finish. Also, he wasn't finishing anything. The movie was already finished. He was reshooting it and changing it completely. So that stuff we already knew. But he's also taking back the statement that Joss is a great guy. And that's what got people kind of triggered in the comments and on social media. Like, how could you say Joss is not a great guy? Like, just because he did something different with the movie, took it in his own direction, doesn't mean he's a bad guy, right? And that is what led the next tweet to happen. which is this. Joss Whedon's on-set treatment of the cast and crew of Justice League was gross, abusive, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable. He was enabled in many ways by Geoff Johns and John Berg. He then ended the tweet by saying, accountability over entertainment. Whew, so that was a pretty serious allegation there. Gross, abusive, unprofessional, unacceptable. I mean, those are some strong words coming from Mr. Ray Fisher. And then looping Geoff Johns and John Berg into this. So John Berg, I really don't know anything about him at all. I'm aware that he's a film producer who was involved in Justice League, and that's all I know. Geoff Johns broke my heart to see him in that tweet because he has been one of my favorite writers for many, many years. I first got hooked on Green Lantern comics. Well, actually, I first got hooked on comics, period, because of Geoff Johns. And I've read like a decade's worth of his Green Lantern comics, which then inspired me to read like another decade's worth of other people's Green Lantern comics. And I think that his work on the Green Lantern series is, I mean, it's one of the greatest runs of comic books ever. I love that story. That being said, loving an artist's work doesn't mean that artist is a good person or that you have to respect every aspect of that artist or their personality or their decisions. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying necessarily Geoff Johns is a bad person. I'm just saying that my love for his work can't, blindside me from realizing that this might be pretty serious stuff that he's saying here. And then, same with Joss Whedon, right? Like I like the 2 Avengers movies that he did. Age of Ultron is one of my favorite superhero movies ever. But yeah, the actions that these directors and creatives do in real life, that is more important than the content they're producing. And that goes for the positive side too, right? With Zack Snyder. Like whether you like his movies or not, you have to observe that he is a great person. Like from everything that every person who's worked with him closely has said, he treats the cast like family. He is just super enthused about his vision. He wants everybody to have fun. Ray has voiced such loyalty for Zack Snyder. It's unbelievable how much he admires Zack's work ethic and his approach to movies and his approach to treating like the cast and crew with respect and dignity and friendship and love. So the next tweet from Ray Fisher says, I believe Kai Cole and Charisma Carpenter. And these are, I believe, 2 females in the film industry who have spoken against Joss Whedon. So now Ray is saying, like, listen, this isn't the only, Justice League is not the only instance where this unprofessional behavior has happened. Like, Joss has a track record of this, is what he's seeming to bring to light here. And he's giving validity to these other women's claims. The next tweet from Ray says, God bless at that Kevin Smith. So Kevin Smith, on his pop culture talk show, he brought up these claims, and he said that he had a personal story that actually supported what Ray was saying, which is that he once spoke to someone who did special effects on Justice League, and he said that when Joss Whedon came on and took over instead of Zack Snyder, that he kind of trashed Zack's vision on a regular basis, and that made everybody on set really uncomfortable because, I mean, everybody had worked for 8 months on this movie, and now this other guy was coming in and saying, that movie sucks, what you did sucks, we're doing my thing now. And that inherently is not gross or abusive. I mean, that's unprofessional, but it's not, that incident is not as serious as what Ray is saying. So, carrying forward with what Ray is saying, his next tweet reads, some things are more important than self-preservation. He then ends it by saying, once again, accountability over entertainment. So he is saying here that he cares more about getting justice for this situation than his own career. And he said that numerous times about numerous other things. He said that about voicing support, like strong, passionate support for Zack Snyder and the Snyder Cut movement. He said, I'll put my career on the line for Zack, right? That means a lot. That is true loyalty and true friendship. Because back then, nobody really knew if the Snyder Cut movement was contradictory to DC and Warner Brothers' vision. Nobody knew if it was, because it seemed like this taboo thing that nobody really knew what the corporate executives thought of. Like, were they even paying attention? Like, right? It's kind of crazy. Like the Snyder Cut movement went from this underground thing to like now DC Comics and Warner Brothers are tweeting and promoting it, and it's going to be at the next Comic-Con thing, and like it's kind of crazy. But back then, it was this sort of rebellious thing to say release the Snyder Cut, especially for an actor whose career was with Warner Brothers in DC. So big respect to Ray for that. Now, accountability over entertainment. That's just that little catchphrase he's been using, which basically means the same thing, right? That he wants to hold people accountable. He wants to get justice for this situation, and that's more important to him than being able to entertain as an actor. I should also mention that since the first tweet, there's been a movement of people, mostly people in the Snyder Cut camp, who have said, who have been using the hashtag I stand with Ray Fisher or we stand with Ray Fisher. So he is getting a lot of support. There are some people who are like, these claims are bogus. You don't know that, whatever. But I mean, there's no way to know, right? Right now, we're just taking his word for it. Nobody was there. No, at least nobody in this comment section was there. So we're all kind of trusting that what he's saying is true for the time being until anything clears it up or until something further proves it, right? Now, Ray, more than almost any other actor in Hollywood, I trust to take this stuff seriously. He has been, through the years, through what I've observed, through social media, he has been passionate, he has been integrity-driven, he has been honest and truthful about everything, about himself, he's been an open book. You can never really know who someone is just by social media, but Ray's approach to social media, his approach to being in the public eye, just the way that he carries himself and the way that he gives meaning to the words he speaks into the world, like, I trust him more than I would trust almost any other actor with this kind of claim. Honestly. I mean, there are some other actors in the Justice League group, like Jason Momoa. He's also, he's not going to come out and make false claims either, But Ray Fisher is just, I mean, I trust him. I really do. And the fact that he's being so open about this, he's being so direct, I mean, that says something in and of itself. Whereas Joss Whedon hasn't made a single comment about this. And that also shows something. Because typically, if someone hasn't done something, if false claims are being made about them and they have nothing to hide, shouldn't they just come out and say that? Shouldn't they just come out and say, this is ridiculous, this is unbelievable? I was so professional, I was so kind on the set of that movie. Like, if that were me, if someone was posting false things about me and it was damaging to my career, damaging to my public image, I would come out and say that. I'd be like, this is not true. I can swear on my life this is not true. But we haven't gotten that yet. The only response we've gotten from any of the people mentioned by Ray was John Berg, who, once again, I don't know much about. But he said, his statement was just not very convincing. It said, Geoff Johns and I did not enable any unprofessional behavior. So, don't know what that means. I mean, he's saying they didn't enable it. They're not saying it didn't happen, right? just because he feels that he didn't contribute to it. He didn't deny that it happened. He didn't even speak to Joss Whedon or what happened with that situation. So Ray referred to that as a knee-jerk reaction of a man who is scared. So, I mean, and I don't know. John Berg could be totally fine. I don't know. But also, enabling is a loose word. Enabling could be just turning a blind eye, right? If you witness something and you have the power to stop it and you don't, that's enabling. So, yeah. John Berg also mentioned that Ray didn't want to say booyah for the movie. He said, I remember Ray resisting that or whatever. But, like, I don't know the details of that situation, but, I mean, that's obviously a little contradictory to Zack's vision. I can't imagine Zack having him say booyah in the movie, except for maybe prior to Cyborg's big accident, prior to Victor Stone becoming Cyborg. I could see him saying it in, like, that football scene. He could say booyah, but Zack wanted to explore the humanity of this character and take an extremely deep dive into the psychology of a man who has lost basically everything, right? How do you recover from that? He's not going to say booyah while going through this extreme internal torment. I mean, yeah. But most likely that situation that Berg referred to was just Ray defending Zack's vision and them not wanting him to do that. So there was another tweet where Ray said, I believe Jeff Pruitt and Sophia Crawford. Thank you, too, for standing up and speaking out. And these are two new people who have come out. They were part of a the Buffy the Vampire Slayer project, which Joss Whedon did, and they spoke out against Joss Whedon, right? And Ray's caption on that Instagram post was, "We can't all be lying." So, I mean, more and more people are coming out. So then JusticeCon came. And that was a 2-day digital convention meant to celebrate the Snyder Cut movement and Zack Snyder's Justice League film. And now Ray Fisher had a panel. He had a 1-hour panel, maybe even longer than an hour. I don't remember. But I watched the whole panel, and that is where he addressed these Joss Whedon allegations to a degree. So he said a few things that I thought were very striking. He said about Joss Whedon, the man is probably scared, and he should be, because we are going to get to the heart of everything that happened back in 2017. And just you can hear it in his voice. Like, Ray feels so strongly about this. He wants to get justice for the situation. And he said, listen, you can do whatever you want to me, but we're gonna figure this out. He said in another article, like, listen, if my career is gone because of this, or if I'm not able to do any more big league movies like this, I'll be just fine. I can take small gigs here and there. I can do plays back in my hometown. I mean, I'll be fine. And he said, what could be better than this? What could be bigger or crazier than this whole Justice League journey? And that made me want to tear up, because it's like, man, it's true. It's true. I've never witnessed anything like this happen in film. And people who have been alive longer than me have said the same thing. It's just crazy that this is happening. But then he also said at the convention, he said, there's a process going on as we speak that's been going on for years to figure this out and get justice for the situation. So I don't know what that means. Might be some lawsuits coming. And he said, listen, to Joss or whoever, sue me for libel, sue me for slander, because there's not a single word I'm saying that is untrue. And you can tell. Ray is choosing his words meticulously, and he is not going to slip. The next tweet says, I understand full well the personal and professional risks associated with my speaking out against the abhorrent behavior of Joss Whedon and his enablers, Geoff Johns and John Berg. I will not relent. This is good trouble, necessary trouble. So there we got a John Lewis reference there at the end. And yeah, he's just these three names, he's bringing them up again. And he's saying, listen, I'm not scared. What you do to me, what happens to me, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to get to the bottom of this. He also said back at JusticeCon that he's asked people if they would be willing to speak anonymously if the situation arose. And he said he's got people who would do that. So I don't know what that means. I don't know what situation that would be. But honestly, I feel like all it takes to do some real damage is, and I shouldn't use that phrase, because this isn't about damaging somebody. It's about clearing something up and making sure there's proper repercussions and amendments for something that happened a few years ago. But I feel like that could be accomplished with the rest of the Justice League cast speaking out. If Henry Cavill, if Jason Momoa, if Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Ezra Miller, that would, if all of them said this kind of thing, dang. But Ray has said that he is under non-disclosure agreements. He can't say everything he wants to say right now. He can't provide all the specifics, or else he would. And so that makes me think that maybe everyone else is under the same thing. Because back when they toured in 2017, they had to say that stuff. They had to say, reshoots are good, Joss is good, everything's going good, the movie's exactly what Zack wants. And it's not. It was not. They very well may be still under contract to not say the things that they want to say. Or some of them may have just put it behind them and say it happened, but But Ray is being relentless. He said he will not relent. He's gonna figure this stuff out. And then last night came one of the most serious ones yet, and it was also the most specific one yet. And it was not against Joss Whedon, it was against Geoff Johns. He said, during the LA reshoots for Justice League, Geoff Johns summoned me to his office to belittle and admonish my and my agents' attempts to take grievances up the proper chain of command. He then made a thinly veiled threat to my career. This behavior cannot continue. Wow. Geoff Johns, if you are watching, big fan of your work, sir. Big fan of your work. This scares me. This scares me. I hope it is not true, but I believe it is. And I'm not trying to spread ill will to you, to John Berg, to Joss Whedon. I'm not trying to spread needless negativity or rumors or anything of that nature, but I'm sharing this because I feel that this is important. And if this is untrue, if this is somehow false, I hope that it gets cleared up as soon as possible. This seems serious, and Ray seems to take this very seriously. So Geoff Johns summoned Ray to his office to belittle and admonish his attempts to take grievances up the proper chain of command. So basically saying, like, how dare you try to get this resolved through the proper channels, which is what he also claimed at JusticeCon as well. He said he tried to take this up with people and they wouldn't listen, or they wouldn't do their jobs in trying to fix it and trying to, remedy the situation. So Geoff Johns criticized him for that and then made a thinly veiled threat to his career. So probably something subtle where if it was quoted, it wouldn't seem like a threat, but he could tell it was a threat. Crazy, man. Crazy. I mean, Geoff Johns, I love his work, but I don't know much about him. Like, I cannot tell you much about his personality because, I mean, he's very private. He's a very private guy. He had Instagram a while back, but deleted it pretty shortly after getting it. And he has a Twitter that hasn't posted in a long time, maybe even years. He's going to be at DC Fandom, which is interesting. I wonder if anything will come up there. Because he was the head of DC. Back in 2017, was he the head of DC then? I don't remember. He might have been. He might have been back then, actually. But he quit I think it was. Yeah, I think shortly after Justice League, he quit to start his own thing, Mad Ghost Productions, while still working on certain DC projects. Like he's doing Stargirl, he's presumably doing the Green Lantern Corps movie, or he's involved with the TV series, whichever it is now. And he's also writing some comics. So, man, I do not know. I just do not know what the deal is with him. But these allegations should be taken seriously and not dismissed depending on how much you like an artist's work. Because these people, especially Joss, they haven't cleared anything up. They haven't said anything. And they also just didn't say much about the Justice League movie back in 2017, which always felt odd to me that Joss didn't go and promote the movie. And he said he was working on a Batgirl movie, which never happened and never, saw the light of day. So I don't know what the deal was with that. If that was just like a attempt to make it seem as though he was like on Team DC when he really wasn't. I don't know. I just don't know. But it's all very serious. And in today's day and age, this kind of thing is tricky because anybody can make a claim publicly and say this celebrity did that, this actor, this director, this producer did that. And typically they're guilty until proven innocent, at least in the court of public opinion. But here, I mean, there's a pretty split divide. Like, people like these personalities. They like Joss because he's a Marvel dude. So he's going to have his fans. And so you got a lot of people in the comments saying, like, where are the facts? Show us the evidence, show us all this. And Ray has said, like, be patient. We're going to get this done. It's all going to come out. It can't all happen right now. There's contracts, there's things where I could be sued if I say certain things, but it's all going to come out. So, I mean, I trust him. It's an interesting strategy he's using of just these little tweets, just saying bits of information. I don't know what strategy exactly he has with that, but I trust him. And since he is who he is, since he approaches his work and the things that he says with such seriousness, and since he was, of course, one of the primary people involved in the Justice League movie and reshoots, I mean, he knows more than these people in the comments, and and I don't know what the repercussions would be. I don't know how serious this gross, abusive, unprofessional. I don't know if there's a punishment for that. I don't know if it just needs to be exposed so that it can be prevented from happening in Joss Whedon's future projects. I don't know, but I mean, I trust that Ray knows what he's doing. So all that being said, I'm looking forward to more stuff about the Snyder Cut, about Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is going to be at DC Fandom, which I cannot believe. We are going to have a Comic-Con panel, granted an online Comic-Con panel, but a Comic-Con panel about the Snyder Cut. Like, I dreamed of this happening. I was like, man, we're never going to see Zack at another Comic-Con, are we? You know, this is what I was thinking months ago. I'm like, we're never going to see him at another Comic-Con panel. DC's never going to tap him for another movie. I mean, the bridge has been burned here, and that made me so sad, but it hasn't. It's stronger than ever now. It's stronger than ever, and I'm so excited to see what happens. So, do your own research into this stuff. Don't take my word for it. Don't take anybody's word for it. Just wait for the facts and take these claims with seriousness. That is all that I ask. So thank you all for listening. I hope that this was a good, somewhat quick recap of everything that's happened and all the facts that we have thus far. Everybody stay posted and subscribe. Please subscribe to Keilan Morrissey for more content like this, more series, lots of feature films, fan films, short films, you name it. I got it all. So go ahead and subscribe. Thank you all. Peace and love to you. Keilan out.